In today's video, I'm going to show you how to turn this into this. So stay tuned and let's see how. If you work with Docker in a small terminal window or in split screen, the default output of the docker ps command is really hard to read. You don't want to look at this all day long. Most Docker subcommands can be paired with a format parameter. This option allows you to format the command output the way you want it using a Go template. Let's see an example. Docker ps -- format, and let's type in a simple Go template. Table. The table keyword is telling Docker to render the output as a table, and then specify a field name between double curly brackets. .id for container ID, and here is the output of all running containers IDs. Now, let's try the same command with a more useful template. Append \t to have some tabulation between columns, and .image for the container image name, and the running command with .cmd. Then let's print a status and container names. 90% of the time, this is all I need to see when listing containers. From the default output, I left out the created and ports column. I usually know already which ports the container is binding, and knowing when the container was created is not always that important. I know you're busy and you don't like typing the same command over and over, so let's look at some options to make this your default output. Make sure you stay tuned until the end, because I'm going to show you how to find what data can be printed with the format option for any of the Docker resources, like containers, volumes, or images. The first way is creating a command line alias. We can just edit the .bashrc file in our home directory, or .zshrc if you're using ZSH as your default shell, and define a new alias at the end of the file. An alias is just a way to tell your terminal that when you type in a certain string, another command should be executed instead. Type alias dps, as for docker ps, and it translates to docker ps -- format, and paste in the same template we used before. Save and close the file. Now I will source the bashrc file so I don't have to open another shell, and try the dps alias. You can also use additional options with aliases. For example, we could list all running and stop container with dps-a. If you're already used to Docker ps and don't like using a different command, there is an alternative method. We can override the Docker program with a shell function. So every time you type Docker, your shell will execute a custom function instead. Let's edit the bashrc file again, and define a new function called Docker. Next, we check if the first command line parameter is equal to ps, so we can inject our custom template. And if the condition is true, we can call the same Docker command with an additional format option. In all other cases, we just call Docker with the original input parameters. Save and close, and source the .bashrc file again to load the function. If we run docker ps, the shell is now executing our function and appending the custom format. What if you still want to use the full output? There is a second way to list out containers. Type docker container ls, and you will get the default container view. If you want to create your own template, how do you know what data can be printed by the format option? Here is a simple trick. You just need to use the following template with the format option. Open curly brackets, JSON, dot, close curly brackets. I will also pipe the output to JQ to prettify this JSON and make it more readable. And every JSON contains all the available container properties, and you can pick and use any of these in your own Go template. Also, keep in mind that you can use the format option with most of the Docker subcommands. For example, we can run docker image ls -- format and print just the image repository. If you have some time to spare, take a look at the documentation page for the format option. I will put the link in the description. You will find more information about all the different formats you can create. That's all for this video. If you have any questions, leave a comment below, and remember to leave a thumbs up if you learned something useful today. I try to upload new content every week, so consider subscribing to the channel if you'd like to learn more about Docker and containers. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.